What's up, college football fans? Don't forget to check out and order your copy of Stiff Arming Football Myths, our latest football game plan book. So go on our website at footballgameplan.com/books and get your copy. We have these available in paperback as well as in PDF form.
Starting out in the Big Sky Conference as Cal Poly battles Sacramento State. For the Mustangs in this game, it looks like their offense has finally hit its stride as they're averaging 38 points a game over the last 4 weeks, scoring 3-1 over that stretch as well. But we know their option attack causes problems. It has been the defensive side of the ball that has finally started to stop teams, and it's been a major catalyst for the turnaround. For the Hornets, their offense can put up points in a hurry. Quarterback Garrett Safran has had a sensational year, tossing 20 touchdowns. The concern is the defense. Linebacker Darnell Sankey leads a front seven that has given up over 165 yards a game and 36 points a game. Those numbers are not what you want to hear versus an option offense. I like Cal Poly in this one. In the Big South, Presbyterian takes on Charleston Southern, and we know defensively the Blue Hose play a very good brand of football. They just need to become a little bit more dynamic and much more consistent on offense, and one of the biggest areas of improvement that's needed is along that offensive line. Now, Charleston Southern answered a lot of questions and silenced a lot of critics, myself included, last week with an impressive game versus Vanderbilt. The Bucs defense, led by linebacker Gabe Middlebrook, is definitely legit. They're solid versus the run, and they tighten up in the red zone, both of which, in my opinion, will be more than enough to overtake the Blue Hose in this ball game. Look for a defensive battle with the Bucs coming out on top, having enough offense to pull out the victory. The red-hot Villanova Wildcats travel to William & Mary to take on the Tribe, and Wildcat quarterback John Robertson is making his case for the Walter Payton Award this year with his play. The Wildcat offense averages 41 points a game and will face a very tough front seven in William & Mary, led by defensive end Mike Riley. The two biggest questions in this ball game is, can Villanova slow down Tribe running back Mikael Abdul-Sabor, and can the Tribe's secondary match up versus the passing game of Villanova? I'm more inclined to think that the latter can't be done, and I like the Wildcats to spread out that William & Mary defense and force the Tribe to consistently make plays in space, which is something I haven't seen them do this season. I'm taking Villanova. Very good matchup in the Ivy League between Brown and Princeton, and there's a lot to like about the Brown Bears, who are winners of 2 straight games. Defensively speaking, they don't beat themselves, and they're able to get off the field on third down, both of which are vital this week versus Quinn Epperly and the Princeton Tigers, who are coming off a very close loss to Colgate. And Princeton, in my opinion, is still a very good football team. Their biggest issue has been the turnovers. Epperly has to do a better job of protecting the football, and if Brown is going to win this ball game, quarterback Marcus Fuller will have to rely on his right arm to get it done. I don't think that'll happen. Look for a mistake-free football game by the Tigers. I like Princeton in this one. In the MEAC, North Carolina Central takes on Morgan State, and for the Eagles in this ball game, the one question that must be answered early is whether or not they can win up front defensively versus the Bears. Now, Morgan State doesn't do anything special offensively, and their plan is to lean on your defensive line with their ground game led by talented running back Herb Walker Jr. I like what I see from quarterback Malcolm Bell this year for North Carolina Central, and he's just hoping that his guys can keep defensive end Christopher Robinson with his 11 sacks out of his face all game long. Now, when you look at Morgan State, they are 5 plays away from being undefeated, and this is a dark horse candidate in the MEAC this year, and I think they'll take care of business this week at home and knock off North Carolina Central. Indiana State is up next to take their swing at the North Dakota State Bison, and for the Sycamores in this ball game, until they find some type of offensive balance, they'll always have problems closing out games, and in my opinion, that was the case last week versus Illinois State. Right now, defensively, they're right where they need to be and can compete with anyone in the country. Now, North Dakota State is coming off a convincing victory versus Southern Illinois, and I'd expect them to see a lot of exotic blitzes coming from the Sycamores this week. So look for quarterback Carson Wentz's legs to play a huge role in this ball game. Now, Indiana State does have the defense to keep it close, but North Dakota State has the offense to slowly pull away from the Sycamores. I like the Bison in this ball game. Huge battle in the NEC between Duquesne and Sacred Heart, and the Dukes are winners of 4 straight games, and it has a lot to do with their defense coming to life. Senior defensive back Devin Williams is playing all-conference caliber football right now. Now, the biggest mission this week versus Sacred Heart is slowing down the ground game of the Pioneers. Now, for Sacred Heart in this matchup, it has been a trench warfare battle each and every week, and it's a battle they've won on both sides of the ball. Defensive lineman Troy Moore and linebacker James Rentz helped lead the Pioneers defense, while offensive lineman Dan Pulowski helped pave the way for one of the best rushing attacks in the FCS. Now, I like Sacred Heart in this ball game. Again, if you can own the line of scrimmage, you'll own the game, and the Pioneers are able to get it done on both sides of the ball. In the OVC, the undefeated Eastern Kentucky Colonels take on Tennessee Tech, and no one is talking about the Colonels as you'd expect an undefeated team with an FBS victory on their resume to be talked about. Head coach Dean Hood has done a sensational job this year with his football squad. Now for Tennessee Tech, there's talent on their offense if they can get out of their own way and protect the football. I think they'll put together their best effort this week. But look for defensive end Marquise Pitton and that Colonels defense to roll big in this one. I like Eastern Kentucky. Colgate travels to Yale this week, and two things they say travel very well, and that's defense and the running game. And when you look at the Raiders, they have both quarterback Jake Melville as your quintessential dual-threat quarterback, which makes Colgate tough to defend. And defensively, they do a great job of playing on your side of the line of scrimmage. Now for Yale in this ball game, the much maligned defense will have to play with much more discipline this week and not get caught looking in the backfield. Offensively speaking, we know the Bulldogs can rack up the yards as well as the points with running back Tyler Varga and company. Now as much as I like Colgate, I can't trust their passing game to make plays when needed this week. Look for Yale's defense to make stops early and force the Raiders into a one-dimensional ball game. I'm taking the Bulldogs in this one. Key matchup in the Pioneer League between San Diego and Butler, and the Toreros have been opportunistic defensively, which has led to a 4-1 start, and running back Jonah Hodges has been a major contributor to an offense that has gotten better each and every week. Now this week they traveled to Indianapolis to face a Butler team that's been inconsistent all season long. The one aspect of Butler's game that has been consistent is their ground game. If they plan to upset San Diego, they'll have to own a TOP and shrink this ball game. Quarterback Matt Shields will have his opportunities deep down the field off of play action, but I like San Diego in this ball game. Their secondary, in my opinion, matches up well versus Butler, which will allow them the luxury of going even more aggressive versus the running game to come away victorious. Huge game in the SoCon this week between Western Carolina and Mercer, and the magical season for both teams continue as they're coming off impressive victories. Now this week versus Western Carolina, you want to see that defensive line be able to get to quarterback John Russ. Right now the Catamounts are getting pressure, but they're not getting sacks. That can't happen this week versus the passing game of Mercer. Now for the Bears in this ball game, you can't say enough about the job head coach Bobby Lamb has done with this program, and this week the Bears may have to break tendencies and put the ball in the belly of running back Alex Lakes more often than not to calm that pass rush of Western Carolina. Now this game has a lot of playoff implications this early in the season, but I do like the depth of Western Carolina in this one, especially up front, to look for the Catamounts to win in a close one versus Mercer. In the Southland Conference, Central Arkansas takes on Southeastern Louisiana. The Bears are fresh off a 70-0 beatdown of Houston Baptist, and you wonder if the defense has finally turned the corner. We know at least one player has been consistent all season long, and that's defensive lineman Jonathan Woodard. He has 6 sacks and 11.5 TFLs coming into this week. Now, he'll be up against a very solid offensive line in Southeastern Louisiana. The Lions spanked Lamar last week, and while quarterback Brian Bennett has been fabulous with his legs this year, he's still trying to find that consistency in the air. And I think once again, he and wide receiver Devontae Scott will find that rhythm versus the Bears secondary. Look for a shootout in Hammond this week, with the Lions outgunning Central Arkansas for the victory. And finally, in the SWAC, Arkansas Pine Bluff takes on Grambling, and it's been a rough year for the Golden Lions this season. They've been close the last 2 games, but can't get off the field to secure a victory. Quarterback Benjamin Anderson has been the lone bright spot for the Golden Lions this season. Now for Grambling, in my opinion, you have to seriously consider new head coach Broderick Fobbs for coach of the year, no matter what level. What he has done with this Grambling football program this season has been impressive. They're winners of 4 straight, and last week's victory over Alcorn puts them atop the SWAC with a perfect 4-0 record in conference. Now I don't think they'll avoid a letdown this week versus Arkansas Pine Bluff, so look for senior running back Jawan Martin to have a huge day on the ground, pushing Grambling to a 5-3 record.
What's up, FCS football fans? I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook with footballgameplan.com.
And I'm Kevin Marshall from AnyGivenSaturday.com.
And we are the hosts of the FCS Wedge presented by AnyGivenSaturday.com.
Check your local listings for station and time in your area.
And also don't forget to check out every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, College Football Now on our Football Game Plan Radio Network, located at blogtalkradio.com/footballgameplan.